8 o'clock. I'm on time today. Well, sorry about that. But two sneezes are always lucky. It's said to be very lucky, right? Hello, uh, whoever's online, say something. If you're seeing this, if you're online, say something. Hello, big fan of your writings, Yash Pokarna. Oh, hi. Hello, Yash. Thank you so much. So sweet of you. That's very nice of you. If you can hear me, please say something. I will just begin. If you're online and you can hear me, please say something. Very articulate, spot on, and enlightening, to be honest. Wow, that's so sweet of you. Thank you. It's so nice. Such a nice start to the day. Ishan says hello. Hello, Ishan. If you can hear me all right, please write it. Please say that you can hear me. That'll be very nice. Yeah? It'll be very helpful. So, no technical. You are not audible. Oh my god. Raju, Mr. Raju, thank you so much. I'll just fix that. I should be audible. 1 second. Why am I not audible? Hello? I am audible. Am I not? Can you hear you just fine? Let's go. Yash can hear me. Mr. Raju, is the problem? Uh, yup. Okay. I'm live on LinkedIn. I'm live on YouTube. Raju, if you could just confirm, I can hear you now. The issue was from my end. All right then. Let's begin, folks. Let's begin. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Thinker's Frequency. We're having such a good time. This is the peak of human civilization. We're working so hard, doing such good work for ourselves, our parents, our kids, our siblings, our husbands, our wives, our friends, everybody. Not other people's husbands and wives, I hope. And just when we thought things couldn't get any better, like they couldn't possibly get any better, well, they just did. Call it divine intervention, folks, but things just got a whole lot better. Now we have Thinker's Frequency, our daily dose of insights and analysis which don't lead to paralysis right before we start our day. So let's continue with our journey of reading between the lines, things that are especially interesting and important in the world of business and finance. Let's go! Oh, but before we go, we gotta follow a tradition. You know the tradition, right? You know the tradition of the simultaneous sip? Of course, you know the tradition. So we'll have a simultaneous sip. And all you need for the simultaneous sip is a cup or mug or glass or tank, a chalice or stein, a canteen jug or flask, or a vessel of any kind. Pour it with your favorite liquid. Today I'm having hot water with some black pepper. It's supposed to be good for me. And here we go. Oh my god. Unparalleled experience, right? Beautiful. Perfect start of the day. Dopamine hit of dopamine hits. You know what the simultaneous sip says, right? It says that you're not alone. It says that we're in this together. Such a beautiful thing to say. Speaking of beautiful things to say, ladies and gentlemen, RBI has reduced the rates. The repo rate. Central bank has cut the rates. This is something that we had been discussing at Thinker's Frequency for a long time. that it was on cards that RBI would be looking at reducing rates, reducing interest rates. Now, why was RBI looking at reducing interest rates? Because inflation had been tamed. Inflation's target has generally been around 4%. But we had been even better. We had been at 3.16%, 3.4%. So there was room for growth. So the concept is that growth needs to happen, but inflation needs to be tamed. If there's a lot of growth and but a lot of inflation, it causes a lot of stress in the general populace. So inflation needs to be tamed, and when inflation is very much in control, that's when the central bank thinks about spurring liquidity. Why? You might think, like, if inflation is under control, then what's the problem, right? Why cut rates? Just keep inflation to the bottom. That's a very natural way of thinking. Like, as it should be as low as possible. But what happens is, there's a serious correlation with interest rates to consumption. Now, consumption needs to go up, because if consumption doesn't happen, businesses don't thrive, economy doesn't have any activity, money stays put, and that leads to, now, if consumption doesn't happen, companies don't thrive, companies start firing people. If companies start firing people, everything goes south, right? So you've got to have a mix of growth and lower inflation, and that's what the RBI has been looking at. So far they've been able to tame inflation, and now they're looking at going forward with cutting rates, which is what we had been discussing since, which we've been discussing for like 12 days now. Uh, Motivated from your tinnitus video, by the way, had listened Sahi song many times. Lots of love. Wow, Spurs. Thank you so much. So sweet of you. Thank you. So that has happened, and we had been discussing it. Interestingly, that's gonna have a lot of ramifications, right? So interest rates come down. That means cost of borrowing will come down. Cost of borrowing will come down. That's great news for a lot of businesses or people who are trying to uh, raise money, or uh, take some debt. But it's bad news for depositors, because as interest rates goes down, deposit rates also go down. So earlier they were trying to go up the deposit rates so that people don't stop depositing money in the banks. Very interesting phenomena. What had been happening in Indian cash market or banking is that Indians had stopped depositing money in the banks, you know, because equity markets were giving them such good returns that it didn't make sense for people to go to banks anyway. So, due to which, if you remember, viewers of Thinkers Frequency will know that we had been looking at Canara Bank, which had increased the deposit rates higher than everybody, just to spur that deposit rate growth. Sorry, deposit growth, right? Now, what happens is, since interest rates have come down, to protect net interest margin, which is the business model of banks, right? You deposit at a lesser rate, lend at a higher rate, you earn the net interest margin. That is gonna, to protect that, since interest rate has come down, the deposit rate will also come down. So that's slightly bad news for people wanting to deposit money in banks. And looking at that, something good has happened, which is the gold uh, loan. So, again, something very familiar to the viewers of Thinkers Frequency. We were looking at loans, gold loans, having a serious fillip, because gold prices have been going up, and since gold prices had been going up, gold loans had been going up, and gold loans have a very good recovery rate. So banks weren't troubled, because the NBFCs and the BNPLs and everybody at the bottom of the pyramid, when they were lending money, they weren't able to get that money back. But gold's beauty is that you can just, if gold is the collateral, you can recover the loan very, very easily. Now, uh, Muthoot Finance AUM, assets under management, for this gold loan thing had reached 1 lakh crores, right? 1 lakh crores is approximately 12 to 14 billion dollars. Now, interestingly, we had discussed these people mulling on the fact whether gold loans of less than 2.5 lakhs should be eased a little by less regulations and so on and so forth. Now that has also finally happened. So, uh, for loans less than 2.5 lakh rupees, the LTV has been raised from 75% to 85%. What that means is loan to value. There's something called loan to value. Whatever gold you are taking, you're depositing, how much of that can you actually take a loan for? You understand? Let's say 1 kg of gold, but you cannot pledge the entire gold amount for the loan because you have to pay interest on it, right? So the LTV of earlier was 75%. So whatever gold you're giving, you could have 75% of that as a loan. However, now it's raised to 85%, and also uh, a lot of ease of regulations has been provided, which is great news, right, for all the gold loan borrowers. So stocks went up a little on Friday. This happened on Friday right after we had the chat. So this happened around noon sometime, and everything changed after that, right? So that's pretty interesting. The gold loan, the RBI interest rate is finally cut. This means the GDP growth will suddenly get a spurt. The country's financial activity will get a spurt. You'll see some loans happening. Maybe some of that trickles to the venture capital world as well. So all in all, a very good news for the economy. I hope the inflation stays intact, and this solves the consumption problem because India has been going through a consumption slump. A lot of it is being done to spurt consumption. Urban consumption is not happening, due to which companies like HUL and Colgate and all of these people are very worried because people are not consuming anymore, right? And that has been a very big worry since 2018 when Subramanian Swamy wrote that reset book where he said India is going through uh, an economic crisis where people don't consume, businesses don't flourish, and then it leads to a downward spiral where everything comes to a crash, which is called tailspin, as per his terminology. That hasn't happened yet, and if this move leads to a lot of good outcomes, we might just be looking at that not happening at all. Interestingly, we discussed this very deeply, right? The Chinese rare earth mineral difficulty, if you remember. So that has led to some action. Apparently, US three companies, Ford, General Motors, and Stellantis, have been able to procure the licenses required for the rare earth material. So they will be getting their rare earths. India at the moment is looking at some critical mineral mission. So they are looking at mining these, minerals for themselves for in the future, so that they can be less dependent on China, which is very interesting. So, Minerals and Mines and Minerals Development and Regulation Act is looking for a fillip where they can actually move forward with that. Mr. Yash Pokarna asks, would love to know your thoughts on Subramaniam Swamy. So I used to love Subramaniam Swamy sir a lot, and I still respect him a lot for whatever he good is done. So he's done a lot. I liked reading his book, The Reset. It was a good book actually, and I have followed his legal cases. So he's not a lawyer, an educated lawyer, but he's self-taught, and that's very inspiring to me because I believe in self-learning a lot, and that he's the epitome of self-learning actually. He's taught himself law, and the arguments are extraordinary. If you read the arguments he's given for the Deccan Herald and every case that he's put forward, it's just extraordinary, right? But these days, uh, I don't know. I find his comments a little bizarre, very inflammatory, and very negative, unfortunately. Not because he's anti-government, but sometimes his anti-government spiel actually turns anti-national for me personally, which is sad because he's one of our heroes, as far as the world. But he's just openly humiliating the country, which is weird. But he's otherwise a thorough gentleman. Love him. So, US Brotherhood ices over MAGA meltdown. So, he's very brilliant, but in my opinion, lacks moral compass, perhaps loyalty, and is definitely self serving. Please correct me if I'm wrong. I wouldn't go as far as calling him, lacking moral compass because that's not my judgment to make. But yes, there are some problems which are very clear. So you're not very far off. There have been some problems, you know. So right after we had our conversation yesterday, where we discussed Mr. Musk's and Mr. Trump's fight, essentially, things hit a new head actually. So those fights actually got personal after our conversation, where Mr. Elon Musk, went as far as saying that Trump hasn't released the Epstein files because he himself was an Epstein frequenter. Now that's huge, right? For people who don't know, Epstein Island is a very controversial play for American politics. So apparently, Jeffrey Epstein was a very one of the greatest tax minds of the world. But in addition to the tax advice he gave to people, the ultra HNIs, the richest of the world, he what he excelled in was supplying little boys and girls to these ultra rich people. So these pedophiles, a lot of them, they frequented his island. He had made an island for these kind of parties, and these people, a lot of people, used to frequent that island, and that had been a very big issue for a lot of people. So Elon Musk has been alleging, since we do not know the truth, uh, that likes of Bill Gates, had been frequenters of Epstein Island. Reid Hoffman, the founder of LinkedIn, and so on and so forth, right? And that had been a very big issue for Elon Musk, that these people are pedophiles essentially. He even called Reid Hoffman, Reid is an Epstein pedo. Unfortunate, but if true, very sad. Uh, why would it not be true? Peter Thiel also said. So we never know. But the point is, that was the case. And then Elon Musk yesterday, after our chat, not that it has anything to do with our chat, but he said that Trump hasn't released the Epstein files because he had himself been an Epstein pedo, and truth will come out. Now that's a personal attack. I don't think he should have gone that. A lot of people are saying that it's a mistake for Elon Musk to actually have come up with that, because uh, Trump has been very vocal, and people have said that if Trump was a part of the Epstein Island case, the Democrats would have found that out and come out with that information already. You know, you wouldn't have been needing any other, you wouldn't have needed to wait. So it's impossible that Trump had been a part of the Epstein Island frequent group, but uh, you know, you shouldn't have gone that far. But he did, and that sort of screwed everything. And then people came to sort of bring truths, right? Bill Ackman from Pershing, he's one of the greatest investors of today. He came in that you should all patch up and get some truth, so Elon Musk backed off a little. But I think things have gone a little far as far as the whole Trump is considered. As we discussed yesterday, Mr. Trump has gone down in the eyes of a lot of people, especially Indians, especially Hindu Americans, because of whatever he did with Pakistan. during the Pakistan fiasco. And then also, there's a lot of problems uh, as far as this big beautiful bill is considered. So the chief bone of contention between Musk and Trump were the big beautiful bill. So Musk says that interest payments on the debt of US is greater than the defense budget of US, right? 25% of US revenues just goes towards servicing debt. If US, and that's at $36 trillion, the debt. Now, this particular bill, raises that debt by $2.5 trillion more. So, more debt. And more debt means more interest payments. And more interest payments mean there's a chance that that debt goes default, right? Now, if US defaults on its debt, US is dead. No matter what good US ends up doing on the side, that's all immaterial because US is dead, essentially. And with US, the whole world economy goes into a depression. Now, people might ask, like, what's the problem? Why would the world economy go into depression if US defaults on its debt? So a lot of people have bought US debt, right? A lot of countries, a lot of these people have bought US debt, okay, in hopes that they will get money back. Of course, that's why you buy somebody's debt, right? To get an interest payment and then get the principal back. Now, if US defaults even a single debt, let's say some anything, what happens is that this guy who was holding debt, he goes under because these amounts are huge, right? When he goes under, whoever he owes money to, they go under as well. And whoever they owe money to, they go under as well. So the cascading effects of this wreck the entire global economy. This is how depressions actually happen or recessions actually happen. Mr. Yash Bokarna has something to say. Stop with Elon. Okay, I don't know what that means. What do you know? VDYT. I don't know what that means. About where DJT will stop with Trump. There's no way Elon's gonna be let off. I guess Tesla will bear the brunt, cause an impact on Elon's, and probably down the line let off by DJT. There are pics of Trump and Epstein. About President comments about the ladies. Yeah, so President Trump has been a great ladies man, and he's been appreciative of Epstein's uh, penchant for ladies, let's say. But he's never been a pedophile, and that's been very clear. So I read his book recently, Art of the Deal. Good book. Not can't say that I like the guy as much as I used to, but saying that he's a pedophile is basically crossing the line. But anyway, yes, Elon Musk has been. Mr. Musk is an idol essentially. He's been risking things just for his country. It's just extraordinary the lengths he has gone to just fight for his country. I mean, he didn't have to do any of this, right? Just look at Mark Zuckerberg or Jeff Bezos or everybody. They've been on the sidelines. Those guys have never taken a personal risk to do anything for the country. So they were pro Democrats, and when Democrats lost, and when Kamala Harris and everything happened, and when Trump started climbing, Mark Zuckerberg, Jeff Bezos all started singing the new tune of pro Trump, right? Everybody, even Sam Altman, and all of these, guys, which I don't have any respect for. Not saying that I don't have any respect for Mr. Bezos as an entrepreneur, but just look at those people. They were just singing that different tune, and they didn't. Even with the big beautiful bill, if they were actually thinking about their country or whatever, they could have said the same thing which Elon Musk was saying, that you can't let America go bankrupt. But they've been quiet. They've been quiet, and they've always been quiet, right? And they've been opportunists. But this guy has gone out of his way, taking just extraordinary personal risks for good stuff, which is amazing. But it's gonna screw him up now, due to whatever is going on. Brands find quick commerce food handling unpalatable. This we discussed a few days ago, where we talked about Zepto's dark stores getting raided because of lack of hygiene and safety standards, and there's all dirt. It was TV reports were on where they were showing everything was just screwed at their warehouses, the dark stores, and which is not like surprising at all. Why do you think their dark stores will be all spick and span? You know, it's a service business at the end of the day. It's logistics. It's warehousing. It's a lot of people dependent play, and maintaining these facilities is an expensive affair. There's no way around. There's no shortcut around it. You can't just throw money at the problem and expect the warehouses to work fine, right? So uh, now the brands are seeing it. So I won't say the name, but I talked to a very big D2C entrepreneur. He messaged me and he said, I think Zepto is gonna go bust because there's a lot of problems with Zepto. I'm like, I don't. Zepto is gonna go burst. You are one of the very big beneficiaries of people like Zepto, right? So he said brands don't pay and there are dark patterns. What do you mean? He said brands are not getting paid. So I'm like, what do you mean by brands are not getting paid? He didn't elaborate on that, but it came out in the news a few days later that brands are not getting paid by Zepto. There's been delays of 6 months, 3 months over and above the due date, and there have been a lot of problems. But more or less, these when you expand so quickly, these problems are supposed to happen. The question is whether this quick expansion is economically viable in the long term. The answer to that is very hard. Uh, Degrees of risk, new threats put students on the edge. So Columbia University, US, has seen its accreditation being refused. So Columbia might not just have any accreditation very soon. Uh, you know, l- Team Trump is going heavy on these people. And if it's not accredited, that means no, it won't get any student loan. And if it doesn't get any student loan, it won't get Indian students, right? We discussed this. Team Trump is trying their best to tame these universities for hosting a lot of problematic uh, elements, and you know uh, they're trying EB5. We discussed EB5 is where $800, sorry, not $800, $800,000 are invested by Indians, rich Indians, in US businesses, or they are shown the investment of $800,000 is shown to actually uh, get US green card or citizenship. It's $800, $800,000 is essentially 60 6.5 to 7 crores. Yeah, so Indians spend 6.5, 7 crores to escape India. Not very surprising. Uh, that's that's interesting. All of these things, if you look at it, if you find out, uh, we, when you look at a developing story, developing stories have a way of clarifying things for us. So let's say if you wake up one day and you look at this information bit, it would be hard to follow, it would be hard to understand. But if you just hear, if you're hearing this thinker's frequency thing for like 5 days or 6 days or whatever, then you'll have a grip of what's going on in the world, right? It's very interesting, and I've started noticing it when I talked about it. I obviously used to read regularly uh, until recently, but yeah, when I used to read regularly, I didn't used to reflect on that information as much, right? I used to read and forget about it. Obviously, I move on with my life. But now I'm reading and I'm talking about it and I'm discussing it with you in such a deep way. It's leading to a lot of clarity for me personally, and I hope the feeling is mutual. Mr. Yash Pukarna says, I'm surprised the authorities took action and money did not solve this. Zepto is flush with cash, no? That's well said, man. That's absolutely well said. That's you deserve a medal for saying that. Of course, I'm surprised as well. How could they not pay off the Indian babus? That's weird. How did this happen? I mean, why couldn't they just silence these people? Is a very, very good question. And that means, they're not the only ones with money, right? Because if you have money, somebody else has money as well. And now that somebody else wants this news to come out and they want them to take action, maybe your money wouldn't walk at that case. But these are just insinuations, no matter how realistic, these are insinuations. But interesting. Good question. Very good question. Apparently, Kashmir Kanyakumari rail line has been cleared. This is a very historic thing. Mr. Omar Abdullah has said that Britishers wanted to make this rail connect Kashmir with the rest of the country through rail, but now it's finally happened, and it's incredible because what he mentioned in his speech was because there are some months during which flights become very expensive from Kashmir to and fro, right? And when they become expensive, a lot of freight movement essentially becomes unviable, right? So this particular train has a lot of value, has a lot of economic value for the produce of Kashmir, which is great, man. You know, more trains, more bridges, and so on. France is alluding to a disinformation campaign by Pakistan and China on Rafale. So they are saying that these Pakis and Chinese are essentially discrediting, or they're leading to a lot of defamation for Rafale, and all of this is coordinated disinformation, which is just to defame Rafale so that it doesn't sell, because China has J-17 or something uh, as a competition to Rafale, and that's what they want to sell. And Rafale might not be able to sell if it's demeaned like that. J-10, sorry, not J-17. J-17 is more advanced, or it's a different aircraft. I'll have to check. But uh, they even claim that a lot of countries are reevaluating their deals with Rafale because of this embarrassment. But France is saying that that's not the case. At the end of the day, it all boils down to money, right? It all boils down to money, which is not surprising at all. Who is surprised by that? Not me, not me, not me. Anyway, moving on. Uh, Nomura is seeing lower inflation in FY26, and other banks are seeing 6.5% intact growth, and people are saying that the growth might just actually have a fillip now, which is interesting. Who shops online the most? There's a recent report by, who has come up with this report? Uh, it's an Economic Times report. Uh, the metros, forget metros. Chandigarh is the city leading online purchases. 7 out of 10 households making purchases online, uh, beating Delhi. Small states like Goa and Dadar Haveli follow, beating Delhi. So number one is Chandigarh, number two is Goa, number three is Dadar and Nagar Haveli, then comes Delhi, which shouldn't be surprising for anybody who's been looking at on economic data. You know what the per capita income of Chandigarh is? Chandigarh has an extraordinary per capita income. Chandigarh is probably at number one or number two of per capita income. Number one, maybe Goa. Let me check. Chandigarh per capita income is 4 lakh in 2020. Delhi has 4 lakh 30,000. Okay. Chandigarh highest per capita city, per capita income city. Sikkim, then Goa, then Delhi, then Chandigarh. Uh, I somehow feel Chandigarh has more, has a richer set of people, but maybe. But anyway, even if it's not, the fact that Chandigarh is actually leading online purchases show something. But interestingly, Sikkim has the highest per capita income, 2023-2024, then Goa, then Delhi, then Chandigarh. So I was wrong about Chandigarh having more per capita income than Delhi. It's not the case. Delhi is slightly higher, and then Sikkim is the highest, then Goa, then Chandigarh. Anyway, so India and Italy have agreed to deepen ties with in aerospace, agri, energy transition. Well, we discussed this. So India and Italy were having conversations. Now I don't know what it means to agree. Of course, you are agreeing, but no agreements have been signed as of now. No money has been allocated, but in principle, agreements have happened. Uh, Road Ministry is tracking outcome of projects, which is very necessary. Which is very necessary. There's interestingly there's a new stats register to gauge business outlook. So the government is launching a statistical business register that will host data on number of businesses operating in districts, aggregating to state level. So they're coming up with a new database which people can access. Ministry of Statistics and Program Implementation, MOSPI, the people who release GDP data, will use SBR to prepare business outlook, sentiment surveys, and stuff. So another data point that people will be able to have soon, as far as uh, economic activity is considered, or let's say business activity is considered, which is nice. Speaking of Chinese rare earth minerals, and I told you that China is supplying it to three top auto companies. Apparently, Ford and Stellantis also had to stop production of a few vehicles because of this rare earth magnet thing. It goes into power windows, motors, and stuff. India, I recently wrote about Swift having seeing its production getting stopped because of the rare earth mineral shortage due to Chinese efforts. Now, apparently, it was not just Indian companies of Swift; it was also Ford and Stellantis and people like them. So, looking at India having tamed inflation and India having seen growth and stable macroeconomics, Trump has been pushing Powell. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing it right, but his name is Powell, Jeremy Powell. Uh, he's the chief of their Fed. Like we have RBI, they have Fed, right? Fed reserves. So he's asking for a full 1% rate cut, full point rate cut, and he's been pushing for it aggressively. But Powell has said that we are going to take a look at it with a non-political outlook. So Powell has been wary of such a rate cut move, probably because there are conflicting data points that are coming. Yes, US inflation is down. US inflation is down by a lot. However, there's a lot of conflicting data which is coming out, right? Like job data, 1.39 lakh jobs, slightly fall month on month, and then there's other things that have happened, due to which he's a little hawkish on the whole rate cut. By the way, Russia has cut its rates, so Russia is looking at, you know, a different, like a spurt on the growth aspects of things. FY26 inflation estimated at 3.7%, as I told you. Now that the rate has been cut, you might just be looking at slightly higher inflation. Uh, than easing food prices. Benign could prompted lower FY26 inflation estimates from 3.7, while it retained the fiscal year growth. Safe to say that we have won the war on inflation. Yeah, so 3.7 is still pretty much in you know in range. Private companies are growing a little. Telcos are seeing some growth action, but not Vodafone Idea. This particular wheel doesn't move. So while Airtel and Jio have grown like 21% and 16% respectively, Airtel is killing it. I wish I had bought Airtel stock back in 2016, man. I wish I knew somehow that Airtel will fight back and Airtel will survive. But I don't know why I didn't buy that stock. Beats me. I would have made a killing. Everybody would have, like a lot of people must have made a killing. But anyway, so Airtel and Jio are growing and they have some serious revenue growth happening. However, Vodafone Idea is still at 4% revenue growth, which is not gonna happen. What will happen to Vodafone India? I mean, how far will the government go in trying to save it? So, thinkers, frequencies, viewers would know that government has done a lot. It's there was some spectrum which the government was letting go just so uh, Vodafone Idea could have it easy. I mean, thoughts were going in that direction. Then the TAR pricing. There's something called TAR connectivity price. Uh, Now, since a lot of AGR of telcos was going in that, and Vodafone Idea was, uh, uh, the biggest sufferer of that charge, government was also trying to lay it off like some 70,000 crores or a lot amount. So the government is literally going everywhere in every direction to actually help Vodafone Idea. I don't know how far it will go in trying to save the company. It's already a 49% stakeholder. Can't do anything more, right? Mr. Yash Pokarna says, I just wish that I could turn hindsight off when I'm thinking of equities. Easier said than done. Well said, but easier said than done, right? However, Mr. Pokarna, you would be happy to know that a lot of what we think here at Thinkers Frequency leads to very, they prove to be prescient as far as looking at the future is considered. And you will see that if you're regular. From tomorrow, truckers will have a cool journey. All new medium and heavy trucks sold in India must have AC in cabins from June 8. Company hike prices to meet mandate. So the government has mandated that trucks should have ACs in their cabins. Trucking is a very, very hard job. It's a very difficult job. I once went on a bike trip to Chandratal, from Delhi to Chandratal and back. So it was a 1700-kilometer trip done over some 8-9 days. And by the end of the trip, I had so much of respect for truck drivers because they do this like every day, right? It was an adventure for me, but it's just another day at the office for them. So, how incredibly hard is that? It's just extraordinary. But they get no, I mean, they don't even have ACs in their cabins. Now they will, but how do you think? I mean, what's the bet that they would actually use these ACs? The government is mandating that there should be ACs, and so that their lives become easier. But how? Because these people are so frugal and so money conscious. Do you think they'll actually use those ACs, not just put windows down and keep life as usual? I have my doubts. I have my doubts. But essentially, it might just help people because truckers are going down as far as number of new truckers is considered, and even truck sales are going down. So maybe these improvements are very necessary. Speaking of improvements, automotive is not seeing any improvement because of passenger vehicle sales are not growing as much, and that's leading to some problems. Two wheelers are growing 7.3%, three wheelers are growing 6.3%. Passenger vehicles year on year change has been minus 3.1% May monthly, and tractors 2.7%, consumer commercial vehicles minus 3.7%. So that's just, you know, that's probably one of the reasons why the interest rates have come down, right? So that people can like buy more cars. India sells like 40 lakh cars every year. So India is a very large car market. 40 lakh new cars. And let's see what the data shows now. It's gonna happen like in 3 to 6 months. The changes will reflect. Uh, Delhi, Akasa plans 50 departures from Navi Mumbai. So Navi Mumbai airport is beginning, and people watching Thinkers Frequency will remember that Adani was fighting a case asking for higher tariffs from Navi Mumbai so that it could make money, right? So Adani Airports manages Mumbai Airport and now Navi Mumbai Airport, but a lot of capex has gone into making the Navi Mumbai Airport, and if the tariffs are same for both Mumbai and Navi Mumbai, it won't make money, right? It won't make money, and it spent a lot of money, and it was lobbying for a lot of tariffs there. There was a proper case, and I don't know what has happened till then, but that's also a developing story, and we'll see what happens there, right? Uh, we have discussed almost everything that I can see that is important. Erosion license. Uh-huh. RBI is cutting inflation target, of course. And that's it. So, we have discussed everything, folks. If you have any questions to ask, you can let me know and we could have a go at them. Otherwise, this was a very nice and light episode of Thinkers Frequency. I hope you had fun. I hope you, uh, you know, learned something. I certainly did. Oh, speaking of learning something, I actually missed talking about Elon Musk and Mr. Musk and Mr. Trump's fight and Mr. Putin's interview. So I was watching his interview, a very popular interview, where he said that no matter, I've seen three US presidents in my lifetime as the chief of Russia myself. And no matter what these guys say, no matter where these guys come from ideologically or politically, everything they do is very similar to what has always been happening. Because these guys come up with a lot of intent and energy, but at the end of the day, when they're trying to make a decision, these guys in black suits and blue ties come and tell them this is not that, this is not how things happen. So he was alluding to the bureaucracy, the US bureaucracy, that presidents are just interns following the bureaucratic routine. This was the pitch of Donald Trump, the deep state thing, right? To kill the deep state, drain the swamp. But essentially, if you're looking at Donald Trump and whatever he's doing, Mr. Trump has not been very different from the erstwhile presidents, right? India, Pakistan, support everybody, just maybe he's not in for a conflict. You can say that he's not been looking at a war like that. Maybe the earlier presidents would have been rooting for a bigger war so that they could sell more supplies. But the whole political correctness as far as India Pakistan is considered is a pretty standard thing. Also, the whole debt deficit spiral upwards, which he's leading to, which has always been the case. So no difference as far as those things are considered. Did fiddle with US aid though? Oh yes, you're right. Yeah, so that was Elon Musk, right? So extraordinary work done by Doge on some aspects, but if you look at Doge, it was looking at $2 trillion in savings, but at the end of the day it could only save like $150 billion, and then he had to go back to his running his companies. And something Thinkers Frequency's audience will know is that it's very interesting that everybody had started burning Teslas in Europe, in America, as a sign of protest against Elon Musk and what he was doing. And suddenly, when he announced that he was going out of Doge, all the protests stopped. All of a sudden, all at once. So what does it say about those protests? Were those people movements? Or were those just paid movements? I think, it's food for thought. But with that, insights and analysis which don't lead to paralysis have come to their daily close. I'll see you tomorrow. It was lovely talking to you all. Thank you, Mr. Sanidhya, Mr. Ishan, Mr. Yash, and Mr. Raju, and Mr. Sparsh. Everybody who joined, a lot of people. See you tomorrow. Bye bye. Have a beautiful day at work.